Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is enjoying their experience today at Virtual Premiere. My name is Leslie Kroger. I'm a Club and Judge Coordinator at UKC. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, where we will be talking about how to submit your paperwork after an event. So once your event is over, there are a few things that will need to be completed to ensure that paperwork is submitted correctly. First, there should be a cover page for each show or trial that was held over the weekend, and this cover page should be filled out for each show and trial. Judges' books have 3 copies. The top copy should be sent back to UKC. The second copy is the judge's copy, and the third copy stays with the club. All copies should be kept for no less than 1 year. When putting judges' books together, for confirmation, judges' books should be in the order of the 8 groups that are judged. The best in show sheet should be placed in front of all other sheets, followed by the junior sheets, then any non-licensed classes, followed by the groups. For performance events, judges' books should be in the order from novice to elite or the highest level offered. Junior sheets should be placed in front of all judges' sheets. If your club has hosted more than one event, all paperwork should be mailed together. There should be cover pages for each show or trial, and they should be mailed together. Entry forms should be placed behind all shows or trials. Please make sure there are no staples on any paperwork. Please also make sure that each event should be separated by each show or trial. In the upper right-hand corner of the entry form is a section where an armband number should be placed. UKC recommends using a Sharpie marker to write it with, as it makes the number stand out. Armband numbers should start at 100 and go up from there. There should be an armband number on each entry form, and the exhibitor must sign and date the entry form for the entry to be valid. There are a few sections UKC recommends highlighting if you're accepting day of show entries. By highlighting these sections, you can make sure all information needed is entered on the entry form. The first is the UKC number, the dog's breed and variety, if applicable, and the sex of the dog. You should also highlight the class the dog is entered in. Highlighting the signature and date at the end just makes sure that everything that is necessary has been filled out by the exhibitor before they walk away from the table. If you've received an entry form by pre-entry and it's missing a section, the club should make sure to contact the exhibitor at the show to get the required information from the exhibitor before the show ends. Any move-up forms should be placed behind the entry form for the dog for which the move-up was requested. Are there any questions?
Right now, there has not been any questions submitted.
Okay.
So
that is the overall things. The reason why, make sure when you're doing confirmation, you're following, we have the list of how the groups should be judged in order. The way you package that should be the same exact way. So guardian goes first. Guardian should be the first group after when you're entering it in. And it should go down that way. If you host confirmation and let's say rally, you should do confirmation and rally. Each show on that day should have its own separate cover page, and it should be separated by the show or trial. So just to clarify that, because sometimes it can get confusing, or you're not really sure, you think show 1 and show 2 can all be scrunched together. They don't. Show 1 and show 2 should both have a cover page. Everything needs to be filled out on that cover page, and they should be packaged as that show. That is pretty much how, when we get it, that's how we go through it, is we look for those shows, we look for those trials, and we look for that cover page.
So do you have a list of information or the pages that a club might need to have at their event?
So they should have a move-up form. They should have entry forms. They should have extra judges books. That way, if on day of show entries, especially for confirmation, if you have day of show entries for breeds that you did not have pre-entries for, you definitely have judges forms for that. And we also recommend that you have extra entry forms. It's always good for the club to have either a breed layout or the confirmation rule book on hand in case somebody comes up to the table and asks a question, so you can reference back to what our rules actually stand for. And this goes across the board. So if you're in rally, it's always good to have that there. The other thing you can do is you can also have a list of what's going to be happening at your event, what times, and how it's going to progress. That's helpful.
Doing great.
I feel that, these are things that, when UKC hosts events, we always have at least 2 people behind the entry form table or the head table. This way, one person can be taking entries and collecting money from day of show entries while another person is putting dogs on the books. Highlighting, again, like we suggest, it's a great way to ensure that even when you're entering dogs on the books on the day of show, if you highlight certain things, it helps that person entering dogs on the books make sure they get them in the correct spot. It also helps you look for things that sometimes just aren't normal. If you have a variety breed and it's a rare breed that doesn't show up very often, having that variety breed section highlighted helps us remember, oh yeah, there's a variety for this. So it's a great way to just make sure. There's things that, a club should always have extra pens, extra rubber bands for armband numbers. They should have somebody at the table at all times during any show that they're hosting or event that they're hosting. That way, if any questions come up or something happens, people know where to go and who to contact.
Okay. Another suggestion that we could have is when, especially if you have a really large show and putting, even though this is post-event paperwork, it's really important that the pre-paperwork is done correctly. So that when the show is over, we make sure that it comes into us and the judges' books and the paperwork is correct. So everything you can do correctly in the beginning and throughout the show always helps the club in the end, so that paperwork comes back or comes to us as accurate as possible. So if you have some really big entries, we do suggest that you have just maybe a couple people take entries and then a separate place for others to put the entries on the judges' books, not at the exact entry table, because too many people will come up and when you get interrupted, you lose thought, you lose where you're going, you think you're putting it in a junior male and you're putting it in the adult female spot. So it's always best that your people who are putting information on your judges' books are at a different table, probably behind the entry table. One of the things that our club likes to do is we like to have 2 or 3 people actually doing entries, especially if you have 2 shows together. So you have show 1 and show 2. One of us will do show 1, the other will do show 2. And we have that person, a third person, read that entry form. We have golden retriever, puppy male, both shows, number 136. And then we say that our the registration number. We do that throughout the entire process of putting information on the judges' books. That way, both shows are done on this pretty much at the same time. They can be separated. And then you don't have to worry about, let's hurry up and get show 1 done. And then we have to go back and do all of show 2. So all the judges' books are done. And that way you can relax a little bit more and get your paperwork out to the show rings on time. If any move-ups come in between, you already know that judges' book is done. All you need to do is pull that sheet, make that correction, put it back in, and you're set and ready to go for show 2.
That's a great advice, Denise. The other thing I do, that's very helpful is making sure to tell your table stewards, make sure you check and make sure the judge has filled out all the different sections on the judge's sheets that needs to be filled out. This includes if you have variety breeds at your table, you've got best male of variety, best male of or best reserve male of variety, plus the best male and best reserve best if possible. This just helps to make sure as the event secretary gets that paperwork and is running through and double checking that everything is marked, it helps to ensure that those are all marked. Those are one of the big things that we do catch is that judges may put, if there's only one male and one female, they may put just the best male of variety and just the best male or best female of variety, and they don't mark best male or best female. It's a good thing to go back and say, hey, don't forget that.
Hey, Leslie, Harriet just came up with a question. Who can mark on the judge's book?
Only the judge can mark on the judge's books. So when you have somebody entering the judge's books in the beginning of a show, it's someone who's working the front table and putting dogs on the books. But once those books head to the table, only the judge can mark on those books. So if a table steward sees that the judge has only marked a best male of variety and needs to put him in the best male, he or she may not mark on that book. She must tell the judge, hey, don't forget to put his number here as well.
Okay.
Great question, Harriet.
Yeah. What about an error? Say you have a puppy male that's supposed to be a junior male. Who may make that correction?
On that, no, that needs to be brought up, sent back to the entry table, and the person at the entry table will then double check the entry form, and they will make that correction on their own. The table stewards are not to do that. They should just tell the judge, give me 1 minute, I need to double check on something, take the judge's form back to the entry table, and have the person at the entry table then double check that armband number and the entry form to make that error correction.
Okay. Any other, I don't see any other questions here, but let me, all right, so now we're done with our group. We've judged all of the herding dogs, and now we're ready for group. Who can prepare the group sheet?
The table steward should actually be preparing that sheet for the judge. So for instance, when I steward at Gateway, as a judge was judging a breed, I have my group set up right there. And when he gives the best of breed, I put down the armband number, I list the dog and his UKC number or the breed and the UKC number, so that by the time we're ready for group, I hand the group sheet over to the judge, and the judge can then continue his judging for the group.
All right, that sounds good. I don't see, is there any other questions out there? I see that we have 5 exhibitors or observers. Do you have any questions out there? Do you need to I'm sorry, do you need to have the number of dogs in each breed on the group form?
You do not need to have that. It is helpful for us in the processing thing, but it is not needed. That is something that we can do as we are processing the paperwork.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, so UKC offers intact and altered. Now you're talking about how to prepare your paperwork and how to submit it. Where does the altered dogs go, or how do you want the altered dog paperwork prepared?
So altered dogs are go after, for me in particular, when I do confirmation shows and I'm entering in paperwork, I always do license classes first. And then after that, I collect all the altered dogs and I go through and I enter the altered dogs. So it would be preferred for me, and it'd be a little bit easier if you pull out all the altered dog judges books from their groups and put it all together in one stack with the best of show on top of all the paperwork.
And you would like that probably at the back of all your in-tech classes, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, that really does make everything a lot easier when it goes to entering, because those are two, they're not two different breeds and they're entered the same way, but they are entered in different systems because We keep the intact dogs separate from the altered dogs. So it is a very good thing that if they can separate your intact first and then all of your altered dogs in the same manner, in group order, then alphabetical by group. Should you highlight the altered dogs judges books?
Yes, it is preferable that you mark at the top whether that it is an altered dog, especially if you are combining the altered with the unaltered dogs, because it just makes sure that we happen to see, oh wait, this dog is an altered. I need to pull it out and enter it in for the altered breed. So yes, highlighting and making sure that it is marked that this is an altered dog is very, very helpful.
Now, what about non-licensed classes? We have novice, puppy, veteran, and brace. Where does that paperwork go?
That can go along with the actual, like, if you have a Burmese mountain dog puppy that is going to be entered in non-licensed, you can actually put that underneath the Burmese mountain dog judges books in the licensed classes, because those puppies are entered on the same screen, and it's just a couple more buttons to push, but we enter them at the same time as we're entering licensed classes. So you can keep the breed of the non-licensed with the licensed breed, and that's fine.
All right, I think I think you've done an awesome job at covering, how to submit the paperwork, and I am not seeing any other questions come in. Right now, we have approximately 10 more minutes before our best in show.
I know. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I am. This has been one of the most fun days I've had in a really long time. All of us really have been working from home, and this really has given us an opportunity to come and be with you. We're not with you, but we are with you, and we are so excited that you have decided to spend your day with us today. So thank you, Leslie. You did an awesome job at presenting the post paperwork, and earlier today we did the variety breeds. So thanks, Deb. Like you too. Miss you.
Thank you, Deborah. I will admit, I have missed being able to see all of you and at events and get to know each and every one of you. So today has been very, very great. It has been awesome to actually be able to see some of the dogs that we enter for different events and actually put a dog to that UKC number or to the name. It's so much fun to see, and I'm so excited to see who wins Best in Show today.
Yep, me too. So on behalf of all of us in All Breed Sports, we do thank you. Join us for the Best in Show. If you have any questions, as always, we are here to answer them either through our phone lines, or you can email your confirmation questions to confirmation@ukcdogs.com, or our performance questions to performance@ukcdogs.com. So from all of us at All Breed Sports, we do thank you.